Today we're going to look at underrated enchantments for less than $2.99 in Magic the Gathering. I'm going to start off with Abzan Ascendancy. You like proliferating, you like pumping your creatures up with counters, you like to enable them with counters. Sometimes they get extra abilities. Well, Abzan Ascendancy is the card for you, because for a green, black, and a white, when it enters the battlefield, you put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Now, on top of that, it also gives your creatures insurance, because whenever whenever a non-token creature you control dies, you get to create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. Not to mention, if you blink this card, you can then expand the amount of counters that you have on the battlefield. It is almost like proliferating all the counters on your creatures. Okay, moving on. We're going to go with Little Dead Fly. May I suggest the Words of Wind? You may absolutely suggest that. You can get sometimes very creative for $2.99. We got to be on a budget here. Words of Wind is a 3-mana enchantment for 1 mana. The next time you would draw a card this turn, each player returns a permanent they control to their owner's hand instead. That's fantastic. I really like that idea. It reminds me of those pirates where when they enter the battlefield, your opponents have to sack something unless they pay 1, except this, they are forced to. So you just pay 1 mana at your upkeep. When you draw a card this year, you're always going to draw a card every single turn. Not to mention, can you just pay up front in the future? The next time you would draw a card, this turn, each player returns a permanent they control to its owner's hand. Oh, I see. We are replacing the card draw with bounce. So if we can draw multiple cards, or theoretically draw multiple cards in one turn, we can end up bouncing a huge chunk of our opponent's board. So I would say it's still on a little bit of the janky side, but especially if you've wiped the board, you might be able to, or maybe this plus, what is it called? That thing where you have to draw 7 cards a turn. Maybe that works like this. That'd be wild. Make your opponents bounce their entire board for that much mana. Okay, moving on. We got a Styx side quest with the Promise of Tomorrow. Please promise that tomorrow. It is a 3-mana enchantment. Whenever a creature you control dies, you have to exile it. At the beginning of each end step, if you control no creatures, sacrifice Promise of Tomorrow and return all creature cards with it to the battlefield under your control. It's a storage card. Whenever a creature you control dies, exile it. Okay, there is a lot of storage cards out there. They're all pretty bad because you have to pay some cost to use them. Either you have to pay mana or tap something. Promise of Tomorrow doesn't do that. It's completely hands-free. No instructions needed, all pre-assembled. So if you want to store your creatures on this card, it's going to definitely work. Next up, let's take a look at Mana Bond. How is that underrated? Mana Bond. Crazy for land-based decks and maybe black-based decks too. Beginning of your end step, if you may reveal your hand, put a land. I would say this is very rated. We want underrated cards, me and Bruley. They can't be too popular. This also includes you to bounce. Oh, does it? Next time you would draw a card, each play. You know what? You're right. Maybe it will backfire. Banovsky, Brave the Sands. You can bounce the enchantment at the very least, all right? You have a random thing you can bounce. Brave the Sands, a 2-mana enchantment. Creatures control have vigilance. Not bad. Each creature you control can block an additional creature each combat. I can definitely... So, your attacks are going to be more free, and when your opponent's attacking you, it's not going to be so free. I'm wondering, though, I don't have any experience with this card. Do small tokens go up in value, or do they go down? You can make, like, big attacks without actually tapping your board down. And also, those tiny creatures can chump block more creatures than they used to. Next up, we have a super chat from Rated Lax. Mudslide, making a quick return. Isn't that a troll card? Okay, no. I was thinking of something else. 3-mana enchantment. Creatures without flying don't untap during their controller's untap steps. That's pretty evil. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player may choose any number of tapped creatures without flying they control and pay 2 mana for each creature chosen this way. If the player does untap those creatures. So it is almost like propaganda, But no matter what, like, they're not untapping, and you have to pay 2 for each one. You're not going to have a choice. Next up, let's get Toads Out of Time. We're never out of time. Okay, this is a 3-mana enchantment. When Out of Time enters the battlefield, untap all creatures, then phase them out until Out of Time leaves the battlefield. Put a time counter on Out of Time for each creature phased out this way. And vanishing. At the beginning of your upkeep, remove a time counter from this enchantment. When the last is removed, sacrifice it. I imagine there's like only like jank things you want to do with this. Like, Out of Time, Wrath of God, wipe the board. Oh no, my creatures aren't affected. I out of time them out of the way. But they get phased in. It's going to take forever, though. It gets a vanishing counter. For each creature we exiled, you have to build your deck around this. Okay, Niamai, or Nimai, they came from the pipes. What is this, a D&D card? It's worded like a D&D card. It's not. It's a 5-mana enchantment. When they came from the pipes, enters, manifest dread twice. Very strong. Then whenever a face-down creature you control enters, draw a card. No way. So it's 4 mana. Sorry, it's 5 mana. It's 5 mana, 4 power, draw 2 cards. Well, whenever face that. Yeah, it's draw 2 cards. I mean, this is basically free. Huge fan. Not to mention you can blink this thing. And it actually stacks if you have multiples of them on the battlefield. Like if I played a second, they came from the pipes. Then when the 2/2 creatures enter the battlefield, I'm going to draw 4 cards. Quite insane. Okay, Bound in Gold. Fun thing to do, use this against Ether Drift decks that need their creatures to crew vehicles. Oh, so this is anti-crew. 3-mana Aura, Enchant Permanent. Enchant Permanent can't attack, block, or crew vehicles. Oh, wow. We're getting ahead of ourselves for the Ether Drift metagame, aren't we? And its activated abilities can't be activated unless they're mana abilities. Effectively, white. It's a white removal spell. It can't do anything. They can't block. Okay, Elixir, what do you got for us today? Nevermore, and Commander will always be funny. Nevermore, the 3-mana enchantment. As Nevermore enters the battlefield, name a non-land card. That named card can't be cast. We got Meddling. I love this card. It's a fantastic suggestion. It's mono white Meddling Mage, right? Only for a single extra mana. And you don't need to splash blue. So this is also a hoser for those combo decks. Well, does that deck depend on casting this one card? Well, you know what? I name one card. And guess what? That one card can't be played anymore. I said so. Next up, Alan, Wild Pear. It wreaks absolute havoc in my wall deck. You play wall deck, huh? You like people running right into you? Like eggs against a brick wall? Okay, this is a 6-mana enchantment. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, if you cast it from your hand, you may search your library for a creature card with the same total power and toughness and put it onto the battlefield. If you do shuffle your library. Okay, so I see. So there's a lot of walls out there that have like there's a lot of 0/3s and 0/4s. And they all happen to be defending walls. So you play one wall, you're going to get another one. It enters the battlefield immediately. Not to mention, a lot of the walls, they have ETBs. ETB draw a card. Actually, there's quite a few ETB draw a card. So it works out perfectly. I totally see it. Okay, Wild Pear. A little expensive, though, even for a wall deck. 6 mana is a lot. Also, I don't see any walls in that image. Okay, next up, we got Meme Bruli with the Norn's Decree. Protection and cards. Who doesn't like that? It's a 3-mana enchantment. Whenever one or more creatures an opponent controls deals combat damage to you, that opponent gets a poison counter. Oh, that sucks. Whenever a player attacks, if one or more players being attacked are poisoned, the attacking player draws a card. So, hold on. That's interesting. So that is very interesting. So when they attack you, they get the poison. So if they get hit by enough poison, they die. Whenever a player attacks, if one or more players being attacked are someone that needs to be attacked is poisoned, the attacking player draws a card. Weird. Do I have this? Whenever one or more creatures an opponent controls deals combat damage to you, that opponent gets a poison counter. Whenever a player attacks, if one or more players being attacked are poisoned. Feels so separate. It's like not even this. It's like not the same paragraph. It's like, okay, I'm a poison deck. I guess it's for, like, I don't know. Is it for the poison mirror? You deal damage to me, you get poison. And if I have poison, I get to draw cards. Sounds strange. Okay, Benjamin Berkeley. Reparations. Please read the flavor text. Oh no, yeah, oh yeah, we've seen this card before. The 3-mana enchantment. Whenever target opponent successfully casts a spell that targets you or a creature you control, you may draw a card. Sorry, I burned down your village. Here's some gold. There it is. These days here's a bunch of dollar bills. Steve Cooper. Arcane Melee. Or Melee. Blood Funnel. Having cheap instant sorceries can't get dangerous. Smile and dono for chat. You want Blood Funnel? Okay, we have a 5-mana enchantment. Instant sorcery spells cost 2 less to cast. I would bet very big that if someone plays this, they need to die immediately. Everyone attack! Everyone, the Arcane Melee person just tapped out for this card. We can't let them live. They can't live to tell the tale. That's going to be a big discount. Okay, Blood Funnel, the 2-mana enchantment. Non-creature spells you play cost 2 less to play. Oh, it's very much in the same vein. Whenever you play a non-creature spell, counter that spell unless you sacrifice a creature. Oh no, it's whenever you non-creature spells you play. That is so it's like a deck. If you have a lot of tokens and big creatures, you can make this work. Non-creature spells you play cost 2 less, but whenever you play it's whenever you play a non-creature spell, counter that spell unless you sack a creature. The creatures, they've got a discount. It's Creature Tuesday. All the creatures are invited. Not the non-creatures though. Planeswalkers, instant sorceries. No, the tax is up on them. Okay, Nadim. Evening, Nikachu. How's the winter treating you? It's actually pretty warm today. It's super cold. It's super warm. It's super cold. Winter sports your thing? Absolutely not. Okay, Sculpted Perfection. I am an indoors person. If I was really an outdoors person, probably wouldn't be into Magic the Gathering. Probably would never have happened. 4 mana for an enchantment when Sculpted Perfection. Oh, by the way, this is a super chat donation. When Sculpted Perfection enters the battlefield, incubate 2. Incubate, and then Phyrexians you control get +1/+1. So we get to incubate, but also we've got a Lord for the Phyrexians. Next up, Hunting Grounds by Kerfuff. A 2-mana enchantment. Threshold. As long as 7 or more cards are in your graveyard, Hunting Grounds has whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. What? Whenever an opponent casts it, as long as you only need 7 cards in your graveyard, and then you can reanimate stuff. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. You basically can lock the board at this point. It's only 2 mana. Turn 2, play this. Turn 3, I don't know. Dump 7 cards into your graveyard. Self-mill. I guess the difficult thing is you need to splash another color, because I don't think green-white would make this work. But if you splash black, if you splash blue, you probably have something here. There's probably something good over here. Nikachu lives in Canada, can't speak French, or plays hockey. Exactly, I know. I'm an abomination. I'm an abomination for Canada. Ristic study at home. Insight. Thanks to Dangerous One. Thanks so much for your super chat. The Insight. Can I find it? There it is. 3-mana enchantment. Whenever one of your opponents play a green spell, you get to draw a card. And what are the odds there's no green players at the table? Well, basically 0. Green is like the most OP color in Magic the Gathering. All formats, basically, at this point. If you're not playing green, you're probably doing something wrong. Or you're just playing a tier 2 or tier 3 deck. Just gets worse from there. Lost in the Maze from Kano. We're getting some creative, cool cards here. Oh, yeah, I remember when this card came out. A lot of people asked me, can we play this in Merfolk? And I was like, no, not really. That's only for competitive one-on-one games. Okay, for a blue X, it's a flash enchantment. So it's almost like it's an instant. When Lost in the Maze enters, tap X target creatures. Put a stun counter on each of those creatures you don't control. Tapped creatures you control have hexproof. So if you so much as tap your creature to attack, and of course people with removal, they're going to want to see if they attack you. That's when they use their removal. And you don't even need to have anything up for X. Just pay double blue, flash this in play, and you will protect yourself. Basically, it's like a counter spell to removal on your tapped creatures. Of course, when it's on the battlefield, they're going to have to play the removal in advance. It's a win-win all around. And then if you have a lot of mana, you can just tap your opponent's stuff down, and they're not going to be untapping for a little while. The Red Scout with Urban Burgeoning. The hell is a burgeoning? Green Aura, enchant land. Enchanted land has untap this land during each other player's untap step. That's pretty good. I like that. You put that on your Gaia's Cradle. You put that on your Nykthos Shrine to Nyx. You put that on, I don't know, your budget Gaia's Cradles. You know, those flip ones. I don't remember the Gaia's Cradles at home. But there's a lot. But there's a lot of cards. A lot of lands that tap for more than 1 mana. So if you put this on that land, you'll have access to more mana, but for as long as you can play on your opponent's turn. Is Fasting really underrated? Isn't that a crap card? Okay, what? You may choose to skip your draw step. Not underrated. Very accurately rated. Bulky with Earnest Fellowship. So 2-mana enchantment. Each creature has protection from its colors. So my green creatures have protection from green. My Wooburg have protection from Wooburg. Put that straight in the Wooburg deck. The slivers, they're all over this thing. Fran with a metamorphic alteration. Variety circle. So 2-mana aura, enchant creature. As metamorphic alteration enters the battlefield, choose a creature. Enchanted creature is a copy of the chosen creature. Yeah, so it's like a weird way of copying, like basically stealing their creature, stealing but not stealing. Look, I'm not gonna lie. They asked me to change the homework a little bit. No, I'm just straight up stealing it. So that's how we roll today. Oh, okay. Well, I meant to click you, Pedgeman, but I accidentally hit Yoinker. We'll get to you, Pedgeman. Yoinker with Glorious Sunrise. I didn't know that could be glorious. Well, the sunrise is glorious. It happens every single day. 5 mana for an enchantment. At the beginning of combat on your turn, choose one. Creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain trample. Oh, every combat we get one of these. Beginning of oh no, but only on your turn. Target land gets tapped. Add triple green until end of turn, so it turns into like Green Lotus. Draw a card, or if you control a creature with power 3 or greater, and you gain 3 life. Okay, now it reminds you know it's almost like Cryptic Command. It's like a green Cryptic Command that you have every single turn on your combat step. Pedgeman with I use Simic Ascendancy with the creature's Ozolith. It went much faster than people expected. No, we're gonna do Simic Ascendancy. That's fine. The 2-mana enchantment. Pay 3. Put a counter, +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on creatures you control, put that many growth counters on your Simic Ascendancy. And at the beginning of your upkeep, if Simic Ascendancy has 20 or more growth counters on, you win the game. I think I lost this card once in my life, and I only played against it once. Probably had some problems with that deck. Probably had problems versus somebody, but it didn't have problems versus me. Ascendancy goes great with 20 Toad. Toad? Is that a real card? Islarf with Insidious Roots. This is actually a competitive card. I don't know if anyone realized. It looks jank. Don't get me wrong. I think this card looks super jank, but it's awesome tournament play. It's a green-black enchantment. Creature tokens you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color. Whenever 1 or more creature cards leave your graveyard, create a 0/1 green plant creature token, then put a +1/+1 counter on each plant you control. I can't remember. How did this card work? Whenever 1 or more creature cards leave your graveyard? What's coming back from the graveyard? This card is very, very strong in some decks. Maybe it was just stuff like Bloodghast and Gravecrawler and stuff like that. It's sort of a 1-card win condition in a way. Okay, Almond. Kenrith's Transformation. So one of my favorite removal spells that also replaces itself. Ah, yes, you're going to become an elk. It's basically the soft version of an actual Oko. 2-mana aura. When it enters the battlefield, you get to draw a card. At the very least, you're going to get some value out of this. Enchanted creature loses all abilities and is a green elk creature with a base power and toughness 3/3. Which, most of the time, especially in Commander, you don't need to kill the thing off the battlefield. Like, it doesn't need to be wiped away. All you have to do is prevent it from using its abilities. Like, all the bomb cards, they have activated abilities. They have special abilities. Completely neuter it. Turns into a 3/3 nothing. Oh, Chuck Norris is speaking my language. Witness protection. I've been a huge fan of these cards lately. Blue Aura, Enchant Creature. Enchanted creatures loses all abilities and is a green and white citizen creature with base power and toughness 1/1. Named Legitimate Business Person. Not to be mistaken by illegitimate business people. You know, people who work in the black market, probably don't declare their taxes. This person declares their taxes and everything. Okay, next up. We got Chris with Estrid's Invocation. Copy your best enchantment, then in a later turn, you can change what it copies. So it's like a Vesuvan Doppelganger. 3-mana enchantment. You may have it enter the battlefield as a copy of an enchantment you control, except as it has. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may exile this enchantment, and if you do, return it to the battlefield under its control, and you can choose something else. The flexibility, people. You know what's better than 1 Rhystic Study? 2 Rhystic Studies. Could never have enough Rhystic Studies, apparently. David Sampson. Promise of Akhlazotz. Maybe more niche than underrated, but I think it's cool. Okay. 2 mana for an enchantment. Now, it's got Foul Rebirth for 3 mana. It's a sorcery. Sacrifice a non-demon creature. Basically anything. If you do, create a 4/3 white and black vampire demon creature token with flying. And at the beginning of your end, so as an enchantment, at the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice a non-demon creature. If you do, populate. It's really funny. It's a non-demon. It's basically every single creature except a demon. So it's like there for flavor. You should just say sack a creature if you do get a vampire. Oh, I guess that they're just trying to prevent you from sacking your own vampire demons over and over and over again. Get free ETBs. Fletu Emuscolisononol. Sorry, your name is very long, but I get you. Nature's Chosen. We need to avoid the ancient scripture. I can't read it. It's written in old magic. I can't read it. There are few who can. Anyway, this is a 1 green aura to enchant a creature you control. Pay 0, untap enchant creature. But you can only activate during your turn and only once each turn. Also, you can tap enchanted creature, untap target artifact, Creature or land. Wow, that works with Time Vault. Activate only if enchanted creature is white and untapped, and only once each turn. I think that can work. That can offer you some pretty good ramp. Untap your Grim Monolith, right? That works. Your Soul Ring. Yeah, I was about to say your Mana Crypt. Yeah, I was about to say your Mana Crypt. That would have been awkward. Everyone would be like, Nikachu, that doesn't exist anymore. I know. Sorry. Too soon. I know. Okay. Old boy with War Cadence. Severely underrated. I mean, people should be all in on this thing. 3-mana enchantment. Red X. This turn, creatures can't block unless their controller pays X for each blocking creature they control. This creatures can't block. Also, it's like propaganda or Ghostly Prison, but you set the price. It's not 2 mana, it's 6 mana. Could be even 7 mana. Little MX Doom. Cindervines. Oh yeah, super underrated. Red-green enchantment. Whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, it's going to ping them for 1 damage. Pay 1, sack it, destroy target artifact or enchantment. So, I mean, it's basically disenchant on the battlefield. It's like Seal of Disenchant with upside. Because, of course, if you're a combo player, well, you just might deal 40 damage to yourself. Destroy target artifact or enchantment, and it deals 2 damage to that permanent's controller. Fantastic card. People are spitting cards out like the show's about to end. Bell with Trespasser's Curse. Help me a lot in Pauper against creature-heavy decks. 2 mana, enchant player. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under enchanted player's control, that player loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Looks good versus those white token decks. Looks very good. I'm looking forward to playing this card. Christopher B with Leyline. Ooh, Leyline of Anticipation. I don't know. You know, a lot of Leylines get a lot of love. Leyline of Anticipation gets a lot less love for some reason. 4 mana. You may cast spells as though they had flash. And of course, it's a Leyline, so you can start the game with it. This helps with Devotion if you need to. I know there's a lot of people in Pioneer and Explorer that like to play with these Leyline of Anticipation decks. And it's basically a blue Devotion deck, and Leyline helps fuel your Nykthos Shrine to Nyx for some really, really explosive starts. Jess! That's very small. Very small donation. I did see it, but I don't see your comment. What are you trying to do? I'm sure there's a card you want to see. Well, anyway, I'll guess I'll catch it later. Hexanort, bigger on the inside. Bigger on the inside, a 5-mana aura. Enchant an artifact or land. Enchant permanent has tap. Target player adds 2 mana of any one color. The next spell they cast this turn has Cascade. It's a weird card. Adds 2 mana. So it's a weird ramp card, but if you get to pull off if you actually get to cast your card, you get double. Sweet stuff. Okay, next up. We got Toon Yeast Tunes. No card yet. I'm in too deep. Turn those planeswalkers into chalk outline. Oh, is that the art? Oh, there's another card with a chalk outline. It's not this one. I thought that's what it was gonna be. Blue aura splits. Ooh, split second. You're not gonna even have a moment to respond to this thing. Too fast. Just like Sonic the Hedgehog. Enchanted creature, planeswalker, or a clue. Enchanted permanent is a colorless clue artifact with pay 2, sack this artifact, draw a card. I mean, that's the upside, all right? You got a clue. You can at least exchange your donut for something. It doesn't have to be completely worthless the entire day. All right, we're going to take a look at more underrated cards for less than $3. But you want to know where you can buy them from? Let me tell you. Oh, you were wondering? I can't wait to share with you FusionGamingOnline.com. This is where you can get all your $3 underrated enchantments. Not to mention you get Innistrad Remastered, pre-order singles from Ether Drift. I mean, they got it all. What is the weekly deal? There's a weekly deal every single week. 20% off all dice. If you're a dice master, you love your dice, this is the time to pick them up. There are people, if you're a dice collector, and I know you're out there, 20% off at fusiongamingonline.com. And between dice and singles, I tell you how you can get even more off when you use coupon code Nikachu at checkout for 5% off your whole order at checkout. We're also going to thank Mana Traders, the premier place to rent Magic cards online. On Magic Online, it's a digital format where I play Modern, Pioneer, Legacy, and Vintage. And when you're renting with Mana Traders, you don't have to own any deck in any format you play. You can flip-flop around all the formats, play any deck, because you're just renting the cards. You can support the channel using my Mana Traders link in the description below, or save 40% cash back on your third-month subscription using coupon code Nikachu_8GS. And now back to our regularly scheduled, underrated Magic the Gathering cards. Okay, what's the soup? We got some super chats here. We got the Limex Doom. I have played Ulvenwold Mysteries in many decks. So many decks. You would never believe the number of decks I've played Ulvenwold Mysteries. It was the Mysteries, right? Because there's a Mystics card. 3 mana enchantment. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, you investigate! More cards. Card draw. Whenever you sacrifice a clue, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. Token, let's go! I lost my creature, but I didn't lose my card advantage. Toilet Dock. Axis of Mortality. 6 mana for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may have 2 target players exchange life totals. Oh my god! 2 target players. Who has the highest life total? Oh, you? I was at 5. You thought you were... Remember, you put me at 5. If you would come after the king, you best not miss. And you missed! Time to share that life total around. Okay, Jess, you had a super chat that went unfulfilled. Armadillo Cloak. You know what? I don't think this is the most underrated. I don't think this is the most rated either, though. I guess I'll give it to you. It is a super iconic card. I guess you could say it's underrated. Maybe more people should be playing with Armadillo Cloak. It's a 3 mana 2/2. It has trample, and whenever the creature deals damage, you gain that much life. I have to admit, whenever in any jank situation someone plays Armadillo Cloak versus me, I'm like lost. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it is that strong. It is a huge game swinger. Usually, it makes the creature big enough that you can't profitably block it. The lifelink is an absolute pain, and don't forget about chump blocking. You can't chump block those damn creatures because of the trample. We got Robin here with the Bitter Reunion. Probably should see more play. It's a 2-mana enchantment. Enters the battlefield, you may draw a card, and if you do, sorry, when it enters the battlefield, you may discard a card. If you do, you draw 2 cards and pay 1. Sacrifice Bitter Reunion. Creatures you control gain haste until end of turn. It's a pretty good card for reanimation. It's a pretty good card for combo decks. Pretty good card for madness decks. It's got a lot of things going for it. If you can recur it from the graveyard, that's good. It's good stuff too. Blacklands Geo with Temporal Isolation. Two mana. Okay, I thought this guy was dabbing for a second, you know? I didn't see it perfectly. I saw the arm extended over here. Wow, they're dabbing in the multiverse? It's a trendy thing all around. Flash, enchant creature. Enchant creature has shadow, so basically unblockable. Prevent all damage that would be dealt by enchant creature. But you know what? On the other hand, you can give your creature shadow. You could also give your opponent's creature shadow. It's like, okay, I want to attack with my whole team, but you've got this one massive blocker, maybe 100-handed one. Well, do you want 100-handed one? You have shadow now. You can 100-hand a bunch of shadow creatures. Next up, we got Demichi. Feed the pack. Let's see if I do this right. Yes, let's see if this is a card that's not a custom card. I think you did it right. You did great, Demichi. 6 mana enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice a non-token creature. If you do, put X 2/2 green wolf creature tokens onto the battlefield, where X is the sacrifice creature's toughness. At every end step, put X 2/2. The secret's the toughness. You could combine this with a wall deck. All those creatures with 4, 5, 6 toughness, just sack them. Get a bunch of 2/2s. That works perfectly. Okay, who else has? We have a lot of people with no card yet. Z-Man Vader, Stone Silk. I use this in my wall deck for a surprise kill. Another wall deck. Stone Skin. I didn't know Stone had skin. I guess they don't have silk either. So 3 mana, aura, flash, enchant creature. Enchant creature, it's +0, +10. How much more of a wall do you need on this thing? I don't believe in this card very well, to be honest, but it does have flash, so you can. I would see this better in like just a regular deck with regular creatures. You attack, they think they've blocked and killed it, but no. I got the Stone Skin. That special sauce. Benjamin Berkeley. Oh, you don't have 2 cards. Eye of the Storm. 7 mana. Whenever a player plays an instant or sorcery spell, a card, remove it from the game. Then that player copies each instant or sorcery card removed from the game with Eye of the Storm. For each copy, the player may play the copy without paying its mana cost. I think this is. I don't know if this is that good. Can you combo with this? Like, don't get me wrong, it does a really powerful effect. I have no idea if you have, like... I don't know if you can force anything with this, or if the opponent can use it better than you. I mean, obviously, you might build your deck around the card, so it's better in that way, but... Anyway, it looks like a card that could backfire, if you know what I mean. Lil MX Doom with Into the Pit. Why would you want to follow anyone in there? Oh, I see. It was probably one of those This is Sparta situations. 3 mana enchantment. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may cast spells from the top of your library by sacrificing a non-land permanent in addition to paying its other costs. This has to be worth it. It's Future Sight. Essentially, this can be a huge chunk of card advantage. Not to mention, it's not that hard to sack a non-land permanent, especially if you're in the token world. It's like token creatures, token artifacts, clues, treasures. Sacrifice a non-land permanent. Yeah, easy. Easy slam dunk. James with a painful quandary. 5 mana for an enchantment. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, they lose 5 life, and then they discard a card. Well, that's not going to last. That's not going to last very long. 5 life's a lot. Okay, we have Scarialt with Hidden Gibbons. Is that the monkey? Eco Monk. Green enchantment. Whenever one of your opponents casts an instant or interrupt spell, if Hidden Gibbons is an enchantment, Hidden Gibbons becomes a 4/4 green ape that counts as an ape. Sorry, it's a 4/4 creature that counts as an ape. If they cast it, they have to cast an instant or sorcery. Sorry, just an instant, right? Yeah, whenever an opponent casts an instant spell. Honestly, I'm not really in love with this card. People will just be very careful. Like, it's just, you know, it's face up, right? Like, I don't know how to use this. If they use instants on their turn, it's not that big of a deal. I have no idea how to use this. I don't know who would walk into this. It's not like, oh, before the beginning of combat on your turn, I'm going to tap something down. And still, it's only a 4/4. Yeah, damn dirty apes. Damn them to hell. Okay, Algot with Animate Spell. Is this real? Or is this a silver border card? Oh. Still not really legal anywhere. Blue Aura, Flash. Enchant instant or sorcery spell on the stack. When that card on the stack becomes attached to an instant or sorcery. Sorry, when animate spell becomes attached to an instant or sorcery, put that card onto the battlefield under its owner's control. It's a creature in addition to its other types, with power and toughness each equal to its converted mana cost. And when card name leaves the battlefield, enchanted card's owner sacrifice it unless they cast it. These cards like hurt my head. That's what they do. The Gibbons animate Perman 4. They do what? I don't know if they do anything. I don't know. I guess I don't know what Perma 4 is. We got Liminal Estates. No card yet. A situationally more punishing version of Propaganda or Rest in Peace. I like using the Web of Inertia. 3-mana enchantment. At the beginning of each opponent's combat phase, that player may remove a card in their graveyard from the game. If the player doesn't, creatures they control can't attack you this turn. Well, that looks okay. So you I see. You need Rest in Peace in play, right? Or punishing version of or version of Propaganda or Rest in Peace. No. You need Rest in Peace in play in combination. Like you don't want your opponent to remove a card in their graveyard from the game. Creatures they control can't attack you this turn. Because if you do that, the Web of Inertia plus Rest in Peace, it's a bad combo that actually works. Stranger Candy with Cemetery Tampering. 3-mana enchantment, Hideaway 5. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may mill 3 cards. Then, if there are 20 or more cards in your graveyard, you may play the exiled card without paying its mana cost. How many cards? Then, if there are 20 or more cards, that's fantastic. It's pretty easy to get to 20. As long as you're doing the self-milling strategy around here. Which I don't know how easy that is in Commander, but in, like, 60-card Magic, it's, like, super easy. The comment for it's not until end of turn is, oh! So it's, but I still am not a huge fan of this card. So whenever one of your opponents can successfully cast an instant or interrupt spell, Hidden Gibbons is an enchantment. If Hidden Gibbons is an enchantment, Hidden Gibbons becomes a 4/4 ape. Okay, it's gained a little bit of value. Do you know what? I dismissed this thing too strong, too fast. It's better than I thought it was. I'm still not super impressed because in Commander, like, and even in one-on-one Magic, you need the card to like do things, and it's just a vanilla creature. In the long run, it just gets blocked by Tarmogoyf. Solitary Confinements. It's interesting suggestion, especially if your deck has an easy time drawing cards. Which it's supposed to. Now, this card does see play, but it's really hard to play. Like, it sees play, but it doesn't really see play. 3 mana and enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice Solitary Confinement unless you discard a card. Skip your draw step, but you have Shroud and prevent all damage that would be dealt to you. It is the ultimate Pillow Fort card for as long as you can keep paying the cost of discarding a card every turn. It's like Master Corbett on defense. Defense. Little MX Doom. Last one. The Cultist of the Absolute. How's everyone enjoying their winter? It's a good winter. It's a bad winter. It's a good winter for me when it's -4 degrees. I mean in Celsius. Are we going to get this card? There we go. Cultist of the Absolute. It's a black. Oh, it's a legendary enchantment. And it's a background. Commander creatures you control get +3/+3. Commander creatures? This deck already assumes I'm stealing my opponent's creatures. They have flying and Death Touch. Ward. Pay 3 life, and at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice a creature. Oh, that's the cost. We have to sack a creature every turn. That being said, super cheap. I think it's a slam dunk. Varg is like, great winter, unreasonably warm, and no big snows. Oh, nice. There's a lot of slushy, dirty snow out there. Or you could be using partners. Even that's like, it's not a lot of commanders. Like, it's 2 at most. It's not a lot, if you ask me. This is a card, bank job. It was a bank job. 3-mana enchantment. Oh, it's an alchemy card. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the bottom creature card of your library. You may cast that card this turn. At the beginning of the next end step, if that card is still exiled, put it into the graveyard and you create a treasure token. Never have enough treasures. Exile the bottom card of your library. So it's like Snapcaster Mage. I don't know how to compare this. So you get 2 cards a turn. One from your graveyard, from your library. Oh, and you can put it back. Oh, I see. And if you don't want to use it, you ramp. I like it. Bank job. Would be even better if it was 2 mana. What is considered a commander creature? Legendary creatures that are your commander at the beginning of the game. Basically. Less than with Nerd Rage. That's not real. That is not real. Oh, it's Nerd Rage. I can't remember. Is the triangle fake? I can't remember if the triangle means it's real or it's fake. And by fake, I mean like a non... Well, it says it's commander legal. So 3 mana for an aura enchant creature. When Nerd Rage enters the battlefield, draw 2 cards. Also shake all them books out of that bookshelf. Enchant creature you have no maximum hand size, and whenever this creature attacks, if you have 10 or more cards in hand, it gets +10/+10 until end of turn. That's enormous. Just get to 10. It's as easy as that. Make your creature put on your infector. 1 shot, 1 kill. Wrist-ridden, eaten by piranhas. I'm a fan of that one. I many times played this card in tournaments. 2 mana aura. It's got flash. It's going to stop you in a flash. Enchant creature, and it loses all abilities and is a black skeleton creature with base power and toughness 1/1. Lately, they've really been like pumping out the blue removal. Unable to scream, witness protection, eaten by piranhas. What else? But there's now like a lot of pretty decent, reasonable removal for blue, and at instant speed. I mean, a 1/1 vanilla creature might as well be nothing. Evan with Shivan Harvest. Two-mana enchantment. Oh god, poor fellow. 2 mana, sacrifice a creature, destroy target non-basic land. It's not my fault you don't play with enough basics. It's basically the next best thing to Blood Moon. David Sandsman says, commander creatures you own, so only your commander would get the thing, and if it was taken, it would still get the thing. Oh, really? So it remembers who owns what. Magic Nation with Cry of Attrition. Is this the card? Cry. Is it Cry of Tradition or Cry of the Carnarium? Although this is sorcery. So I don't think this is the card. If you figure out the card, just let me know. We can look it up later. So it's like John Hayes needs a mention. Where's John? Okay, John, I'm gonna look for you. Toad said so. Toads is basically the commander-in-chief around here. Who did you say? Hayne? Who? John Hayes? Where's John? John, you got a special shout out. But I can't find your card. Okay, I'm gonna move on. If John's card shows up, then great. If not, sorry. Better luck next time. Oh, here's John. But I don't see your card. Okay, I'm just gonna give Dustin a card at the moment. Wheel of Sun and Moon. Some good graveyard decks or mill decks if you pick yourself. Yeah, there's a lot of utility for this card. This is a 2-mana aura. You enchant the player, so you could enchant yourself. You could enchant your opponent, and if a card would be put into enchanted player's graveyard from anywhere, instead that card is revealed and put on the bottom of that player's library. So I mean, I think it's most effective putting it on somebody else. That's what I think is going to be the most utility. If they need to fill their graveyard to Threshold, Delirium, Reanimation, Dredge, well, basically, no, you don't get to do that. But, and on top of that, outside of Rest in Peace, you can still use your graveyard while you gave your opponent the Wheel of Sun and Moon. Actually, I have no idea. Why would we ever want to put this on ourselves? If a card would be put into an enchant player's graveyard from anywhere, I guess just put it back in the deck, use it again. Intangible okay, let's go with Enchantress Presence. Let's make the Enchantress community happy. What is it? Enchantress's Presence? Something Presence. I don't know if I even spelled presence properly. Probably not. There you go. 3-mana enchantment. If you cast an enchantment, you get to draw a card. I think this is a pretty popular card. This is a lot better than it looks. This is a card that very often gets squeezed in enchantment only matters decks, where I think it should be a little bit more flexible than that. Probably maybe there's like an enchantment creature deck that this can go in, and so you don't depend on totally enchantments. You can also depend on the creatures that you cast that trigger this thing anyway. Oh, Magic Nation. It was Cry of Contrition, but it's not an enchantment. It's a sorcery. Yo, yeah. You got disqualified twice. Twice. It's not a record, but you're halfway there. Gambler, and look at the avatar, Caustic Tar. 6 mana for an aura. 6. That's insane. Enchanted land has target player loses 3 life. It's gonna sting, but I mean, honestly, if Caustic Tar was on my land, I'd just ignore it. I mean, I'd ignore the land and try to do something else. 3 life is not life I want to lose. Elixir, the phasing of Zalafir. It's decent, in my opinion. I'll tell you what, I do value your opinion. 4 mana for read ahead, so we can go straight to chapter 3. But chapter 1 and 2, another target non-land permanent phases out. It can't phase in for as long as you control the phasing of Zalafir. And then destroy all creatures. For each creature destroyed this way, its controller creates a 2/2 black Phyrexian creature token. It's basically the Curse of the Swine the hard way, but for a lot less mana. So you do win there. Fred, I don't think you got a card. Seize Claim. Always underrated. Well, if you're a Merfolk fan, blue aura, enchant land. Enchanted land is an island. 1 mana Stone Rain for the non-blue decks out there. Oh, yeah, I think it's time to look at 2 cards yet now. Fram with Verity Circle. It's great in Commander, at least the first half. Opponents tap creatures all the time. And spells that tap are pretty common in blue. Yeah, sort of. 3 mana enchantment. Whenever a creature an opponent controls becomes tapped, if it isn't being declared as an attacker, you may draw a card. Oh, I see. So if a creature becomes tapped but is not an attacker, we draw cards. 5 mana, tap target creature without flying, and we can force the tapping. If we do have infinite mana, this card has quite a bit of potential, because then you can tap all your opponent's creatures down, and you probably have locked the game from there. Okay, we got Trisaru with Raider's Wake. 4-mana enchantment. Whenever an opponent discards a card, they lose 2 life. And then raid. At the beginning of your end step, if you attack with a creature this turn, target opponent discards a card. Well, well, well. How does raid work at the beginning of your end step? Oh, I see. So it just triggers that end step. Yeah, I lost. I attack with a creature. You discard a card. Oh, by the way, you discard a card, you lose the life. Dustin. With Michikos. Reign of Truth. 2 mana for Saga. Pay 1. Target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each artifact and or enchantment you control. Could be big. Could have potential. And it's 2 mana. And it's will count itself and is for 2 turns. Chapter 3 is exile this saga, return it to the battlefield transformed under your control. What? Oh, we get a 0/0. Gets +1/+1 for each artifact or enchantment you control. So it's like we got a Nettle Cyst to some extent. Twig is like, what about classic Garrick's Uprising? What? You know, this is so weird. It's like a Garrick. What did Garrick raise himself with the dinosaurs? 3 mana enchantment. When this creature enters, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, draw a card. Oh yeah, these are really good. Creature control have trample, and whenever a creature control with power 4 or greater enters, draw a card. This is also really good. It's got my super seal of approval. It's a lot of cards. Why didn't I see this card in Pioneer? I don't get it. Seems like everything a Pioneer deck would want. Though there's a mono green deck that I would think loves this card. I swear you got a card, Trisaru. Didn't you just get a card, Trisaru? What was your card? Yeah, we saw the Raiders Wake. That was your no card yet. I guess some of you may not know what NCY means. It means no card yet. And then there's some people who don't have 2 cards yet. Hecatomb. Hecatomb. 3 mana enchantment. When it comes into play, sacrifice Hecatomb. Sorry, Hecatomb, unless you sacrifice 4 creatures. That doesn't seem easy. Tap and untap swamp you control to deal 1 damage to target creature or player. That's wild. But I don't know if it's worth 4 creatures. So it's a lot. It's on the. I mean, I see potential in this card. Don't get me wrong, but it's a very expensive card at that. Bell also with no 2 cards. Make shift munitions is useful in many pauper decks. Grixis Affinity, Sadistic Glee, and Goblin combo. Whoops, sorry. 2 mana for an enchantment. Pay 1, sacrifice an artifact or creature. Makeshift munitions deals 1 damage to any target. Sacrifice artifact. So basically, this is a great way to use up your clues, your extra food, your treasure tokens. I think that's a win. Sometimes we got like a ton. We have these tokens all over the damn place, whether it be creatures or artifacts. Let's use them for something. Okay, Elixir with a super chat. Do you like telepathy? I do like telepathy. Mostly because, hey, like, okay, everyone, reveal your hand. What do you got? Oh, sorry, I don't have to reveal my hand. And then everyone knows who it dangers. It just makes everyone gang up on them. Big time. Connor McLeod with Seal of Removal. 1 blue, sacrifice Seal of Removal, return target creature to its owner's hand. I mean, you are basically free rolling playing this card. And people would be less likely to attack you because they know, oh, well, I'm just going to force them to use up their Seal of Removal, which is not good. And I think with that, that's it. These are the underrated enchantments. You people love your enchantments. We got a really good list of them. I think a lot of enchantments people have never even heard of. That's how underrated they are. And they're cheap. They're on a budget. Get them for less than $3, especially at FusionGamingOnline.com. Okay, we do this show weekdays, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Be there, and I will see you as well. And of course, we have to thank everyone who supports the show. If you're a patron on Patreon, a member on YouTube, or you super chat to be part of the show, or even super chat so other people are part of the show. And of course, thank you so much for being here today. People, oh man, where would I be without Christopher B. and PDX, Hexenor, Old Boy, Steve Cooper, David Sampson, Benjamin Berkeley, Varg, Little Dead Fly, Bell, Dinglebag, Toads, Just My Own Clips, Twig, Kano. You are my crew that makes the show each and every episode. Let's keep bringing up those coffees, crew, and we'll keep bringing up magic. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you at the next cup.